2 years old, that webpage. We haven't had the money, to be honest, to upgrade. I don't want to spend. I'd rather put my money into the business itself and in getting more equipment. But if you go to our social media pages or just the Twitch, that Twitch channel will just, if you just watch one, that will show you. Or if you just look at this table, I just started streaming. So I'm getting up now, and you'll be able to see me over here. And then we can start answering some questions. And I'll tell you a little bit about me first. All right, everyone. Welcome to Nerdbauchery. I am on my own today. Our JC, you know, our tech guy. If you watch our show all the time, JC, the man behind the curtain, the wizard that does all the cameras and everything else, he is not with us right now. He is not feeling too good. If he comes, that would be great, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make it. So I'm going to do my best to field any questions. I am the owner of Nerdbauchery. My name is Tony. We are a professional dungeon mastering company. We have been doing this now for about 2 years. We've been live streaming games, twitching now for about 7-8 months. And the goal of this session right here is to help people not make all the mistakes that we made in this new type of, it's kind of a cowboy thing. This whole virtual DMing thing is kind of just starting. So we spent a lot of money buying the wrong things. And it's like George Washington said, the reason he was a great president or a great general was simply because he had made so many mistakes, he couldn't possibly make another one. And that's why he knew he would win, because he knew all the wrong things to do. So we're going to go over all that, and we have a few people in here right now. I think there's just 2 people in here at the moment, and I will start answering their questions. Guys, I think we have Dave, and the other gentleman, I think, is, what's your name?
My name is Rick, but it's a Veckel Fantasy, but it's a Dutch name, so I'm used to weird pronunciations.
Okay, so Dave and Rick. All right.
Yeah, that's work.
All right, awesome, Dave and Rick. All right, so let's get started. What kind of questions? Let's dive right in. What do y'all want to know first? Like, do you have any questions you've been thinking about?
Not really.
Okay, well, I will start then. Anyone about any of y'all? Rick, do you have anything?
I've started with a live streaming group about 40 weeks ago. And I've built an elaborate setup, and I'm pretty sure it can be better in all kinds of angles and approaches, so that's why I'm here. So I've quite some questions, but mostly curious about your own setup.
Okay, well, that's good. That's my side. I do the building and everything, so that's good. What kind of questions do you have about the setup itself?
At this moment, I have a webcam setup. I have 7 webcams tied up to my computer.
Mm-hmm.
And use OBS to string them all together in an overlay. And it works, but webcams are not really built for this kind of use, to put it lightly. And I have tried working with an IP camera, but I couldn't figure out how to work it. And I'm not a visual guy in any sense. I'm a social worker who happens to have a great hobby and just put the camera on there. So any help on that part is welcome. Any advice, any tips, anything I can look and search for, it all works for me.
Okay. Well, I can help you out with that a little bit. I do know a little bit about that. I do tell you the type. We actually do use webcams as well. We use Logitech Brios. And one of the problems that we were having in the beginning was our cameras would constantly go off, they'd freeze, or there'd be banding issues, 'cause there was a whole bunch of things. One of the things we found out, depending on your distance, is you have to have, it's best to put, if you're using webcams, if you can, into a 3.0 or more connection for the actual webcam. You don't want to be on a 2.0. It just will not be fast enough over long distances, and you'll end up getting a lot of freeze-ups or poor resolution. It will just be a pain in the ass. Also, depending on the length of where you're going from, because if you're experiencing a problem with webcams, if you're going across a room, like the room we're in right now, we're in this garage. If you're looking at the Twitch channel right now, this is actually our garage. That's how new we are, still making all this work and bringing it together. But we've been doing this, and what we found, again, is the distance, anything more than 10 feet, you're really going to start having problems. So you're going to have to get a good, solid cable. The one I suggest, and it can be costly, but in the end, you kind of don't have a choice. Is the Logitech Strong cables? Those are pretty good, or anything else that's going to be a really good long distance transfer cable. You do not want to go cheap on it, because it's not going to get you the right power. And on some webcams, if you can, get a webcam that offers the ability to have an external power source plugged into the webcam. You don't want one that's just connected all the time to your computer, because depending on your wattage, you just might not have enough to push it. So what's going to happen is, again, you're going to start having freeze up issues. Cameras aren't going to work. They're not going to come on. They're not going to register in OBS. It's just going to be, that was a whole bunch of crap that we experienced in the beginning. If you watch our early productions, we constantly had issues like that. So you get them into their own. Also, do not put them on a hub. If you are using webcams, you don't put them on a hub. You want, if you have to connect them to your PC, because we do have a few, make sure they're, again, connected to 3.0 or higher USB connectors on your motherboard. So you want to make sure you have a good motherboard, good connectors. And then you want to make sure that you have good cables, transfer wire cables, that will go over the distance that you're going to need if you're going far with those webcams. And I imagine that you would be going far with those actual webcams themselves. Did you experience any of those issues, Rick, like freeze-ups and things like that?
Well, I must admit, I have not had any freezing issues. But seeing as, especially during the pandemic, first we had 3 webcams, and that was perfectly doable. One side of the table, other side of the table, one DM with map. So that was pretty much okay. But now during the pandemic, we had plastic screens up, and I had to have everyone their own webcam. And just the amount of webcams and the resolution, something didn't even appear. It just wouldn't appear in OBS. It wouldn't stream at all unless I put the resolution and the format to MPEG, if I'm saying this correctly. Then it started to work out a little bit, just to make sure that I had some visual. And at this moment in time, I fixed it by using 2 laptops and a Skype call to the OBS computer, to use them both as a advanced USB hub.
Oh my God! Oh man, you are really deep in it.
Yeah, I had to try something, and the laptops used 2 webcams each. The computer had 2 webcams up, and just with the Skype call and every PC with OBS and a virtual cam setting, I could get it to work. But it's a very strenuous process that I couldn't advise anyone ever. So,
No, that sounds like something you'd want to shoot yourself like in the foot with later after you were done. Do you do you have a good CPU in your PC?
I have a 8th generation Intel Core i5 processor. I have a separate video card for the processing, gigabyte 710 GTX NVIDIA thing. And good to know that as for the webcams, I'm using Microsoft HD3000s and Logitech's 270, all 720 pixels resolution.
Okay, and you go ahead. Was that does somebody else want to ask a question?
And I do for the audio, I use the Blue Yeti microphone. The entire room, that works perfectly. That's the best thing about my entire stream is the audio.
Yeah, we use the mic I'm on right now. I don't know how good my sound is perfect right now, but the mic I'm on is just a Razer Siren X. Don't have the Blue Yeti. Probably should have got that. Yeah, the problems you're experiencing, you're really gone deep down the rabbit hole. The problems we had, like we have one main computer, we have a i7 5960X processor in there, with 2 NVIDIA Titan X Pascals. So they're a little bit older cards now, but they still pump them out. So you got to have a decent computer. First of all, you don't want to have, I don't know how you're doing. That sounds like a nightmare, having all those things connected to different computers and trying to link them up. So obviously you want to get to the point where you can be on one machine. So you're definitely not having, obviously you know that already, I'm sure. So yeah, you definitely want to be able to get on one machine. as soon as you possibly can, because that sounds like that's your main issue right there. And let me check one thing. I just want to make sure no one else has dropped in, because again, I don't have anybody helping me today, so give me one moment. Make sure no one else has dropped in to the Discord. And then Dave, I'd like to explain some things to you, because maybe you might just be starting this out. So let me go ahead and give Dave a little quick rundown on how to do your games over virtual. Because Dave, are you just starting out like virtual gaming?
Yeah, I have been running something over Discord with no visuals.
Okay, so you basically just want to hook up the cameras through OBS and all that. Okay. All right. What you would need to do, I could give you the basic tutorial right now, but hooking up things to OBS is you're going to need to basically add the camera. You would right click or just click on add when you're in the OBS, and then that would add the actual camera. You would need to select the camera and then name it if you want to. The issues you're going to run into, Dave, on there, because you're going to notice once you add the camera, you're going to want to start playing around with, zooming and everything else. That would be done with video properties. And then also, you're actually, say configure the camera right there when you right click after you've added it. What can I help you with? Because that OBS is a big monster in itself. So I'm trying to think what would be that's the easiest way to add stuff. It's just adding a camera is very simple, but then you have got to have decent lighting. One of the things that we have, if you want to make your games look good with visuals, is we went out and bought I'm trying to remember them. Give me a moment here. They're very high quality. I can't remember. They're very high quality. The neon lights, or basically the fluorescent lights, I should say. So they pretty much last forever. I'm trying to remember the damn name of them, but they cost us like $350 a piece for one freaking light, and we bought 3 of them. So what do you want to know about OBS? Like just putting the camera on there, adjusting how the cameras look, quality, resolution?
Since I have very little experience starting basic, just adding a camera would be useful.
Okay, let me go. I'll go right on OBS if you can hear me. And what I would do, I wish JC was here right now because he's fast at this. All right, but if you go over, are you on OBS right now?
Define OBS.
You might want to close your mic because I'm getting a little feedback there, Dave. Just for a second. Or use push to talk because I'm hearing myself talk. All right, that should do it. All right, good. All right. So I'm not hearing myself now. If you OBS is, I am still hearing myself. Hold on. Maybe it's on my end here, Dave.
Yeah, I just turned back on.
All right. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, there we go. I figured out what it was. All right. OBS is Open Broadcast Software.
Mm-hmm.
If you go online and you go to Google
and obsproject.com.
Yeah, I'll put it up here. Let me see if I can actually.
I'm not actually seeing anything on your end.
It's Open Broadcaster Software, Streamlabs. It's a free download.
Mm-hmm.
Put it here. You have Windows, I assume.
Windows or Linux, depending on what system I'm using.
Yeah, you can use Windows or Linux. you'll need to download OBS Studio. And there's two types of OBS, but I would download the basic one first, just a regular open broadcaster software. And it'll be the first thing that comes up when you Google. OpenBro, it is free, so you don't have to worry about ever paying anything. But being free, sometimes, and I'm sure the other person here in Discord will tell you that Rich will tell you that sometimes OBS gets it can get wonky. So be prepared for that. But that's any technology. So let's go over there. Once you've downloaded.
Maybe a question, David. Are you trying just to play, or you want to also broadcast it like Nerdbauchery and I are doing?
Not at first.
Okay, because because OBS is also very much usable. All kinds of things, especially as a virtual webcam, where you can also load your map, for example, and your face sites. So I'm just trying to help out our god in here, just to make sure that you have the right usage and not to door dump you in any case or form.
Yeah, basically, I'm retired and I'm looking for new interesting things to do. And that's about as advanced as I am right now.
Okay. Have you, and now you're running virtual games with just audio, if I understood correctly?
Yes.
Okay. I presume there's also D&D or other systems, or?
Other system currently.
Okay. Does it use battle maps and such, or is it your domain kind of play?
I haven't been using anything like that since the pandemic started.
I understand that. I use the webcam focus just to have a webcam above my just my usual terrain, so I could just use that and not resort to digital tools, because I bought all this terrain and I've crafted all the terrain and didn't want to get it to be stuffed away during the pandemic. So I understand that completely. But your what program do you currently use to play your games with online, if any?
Discord.
Okay. Well, at least you already got the video and audio covered if you'd like to.
Mm-hmm.
That helps, because you're in here with a video chat, so that helps already for that part.
Yeah.
Now he just needs to get his visual up there. And Rich, thank you for jumping in. Like I said, I'm the owner of my company, but I'm the creative end. And you actually see JC just put a message in there for y'all. He's the producer of Nerdbauchery. He just said anyone who has any extensive questions. So Dave, anything that I can't answer or you really need deeper detail on the tech side, JC is gonna help y'all with that. Just let him know. He actually just put a message in chat. Can y'all see that message?
Oh yeah, perfect. I see it in the general chat.
You see that, Dave?
Where is that? Yeah, general chat. Have it up.
And you should see hello, I'm the producer of Nerdbauchery under Watchers chat. Yep. So he's any deep questions, I can help you out with how to convert, how to write, how to build a table, all the ends. I'm the host of the show, and I do all the DMing. Like I said, I build, I write. We're about to have games. We already have members of Dwarven Forge who play in our games. Mace plays at the backseat, and if you know Stefan Bracani, he is going to be playing in one of our games very soon. So that's kind of my end. There's a lot of people who do this company, but this Q&A was basically meant to be creative and tech, and the tech side's kind of, as you can see, not feeling well. So I'm very sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry if I can't answer everything to the deepest level of your ability, but I will do my best. And thank you, Rich, if you know things that I don't. that doesn't bother me. My ego is not so big that I can't take some help. Do you have any questions creatively? How to set up? How to just, in general about what I do on my end? Or is it all tech stuff?
Oh, I do have one. I'm not sure how you are doing, David.
So far, I haven't gotten more than battle maps. So
I use David, well, if you want to know, that's perfect. If you want more than battle maps, now you're talking my language. If you're looking at the Twitch stream, you see all my terrain. Like I said, I've built a complete 6x4 table. All this terrain is modular. It is by Dwarven Forge. You can go into houses. It is also all gridded out for combat. So if people, and we've also made it transitional. So underneath here, I have all these tables on all this stuff on battle boards, and underneath it is a 17 encounter dungeon, as well as a full set of sewers. And again, all that stuff is completely, every single thing on this map is playable. If you're looking to get into 3D dungeon building, Dave, what I can tell you is I would definitely probably go with Dwarven Forge. And no, I do not get paid by Dwarven Forge. I am not a corporate shill who's just pimping them out. No, I really do think they have the best terrain in the market. You do not need to go crazy like I do. A person like yourself who's just wanting to have some games with their friends, I would suggest, what are the main adventures that you do? Are you more a dungeon crawler, cityscape, forests? What is your big thing?
Typically out in the wilderness with ruins.
Okay, so you're more wilderness. Well, then you would probably want to buy a few pieces of their large, they have scatter terrain, which is just trees. Now, depending on how much you want to spend, you can do it two ways. If you're looking to get into 3D terrain, you can buy scatter pieces, and then they kind of, I know you said you don't like battle boards, but they have like a kind of like a terrain board, they call it, where it looks like the actual terrain. Or you can do what I've done, which is you go the full Monty and you actually buy the real trees and everything else. And if you're looking to do that, you would need to go on their site and take a look at their caverns deep, and they have something called Dread Hollow Forest. You do not have to buy the whole $1,000 Dread Hollow Forest. You can buy a few pieces of it and just set yourself up an encounter. Yeah, you don't have to do what I did to have a game. I have a sick obsession, so, but yeah.
There's lots of hobbies that will take as much money as you care to pour into them.
You don't even want to know. I don't even want to think about how much money. I've spent, what you see on the table is just a fraction of what I have. You know, you're looking at a 6x4 table covered with all this stuff. I mean, and then underneath this table, plus in my basement, there's so much more. You're right. You can just pour money into this. So I highly suggest that you don't, unless you have a very, very nice wife. Like, well, I can't say my wife is greatly nice, but she doesn't check in on it, so that's good enough. So that's good enough. That works for me.
In my case, I don't have a lot of Dwarven Forge because of the import and just the shipping fees, because I'm in Western Europe, so it's pretty harsh to get it over here.
Oh my God! They just I've heard shipping fees out there, like for some of this Dwarven Forge stuff, it could be $100, $200 for fees.
Yeah, it could be more than my order, so that I choose not to go that way and do it. A lot of local manufacturers for Dragonlog and other systems, or craft them myself.
Yeah.
Make sure that I have something to put on the table.
Yeah, I don't blame you then, man. I mean, Dwarven Forge is already costly. I'm not going to front. If somebody was like, well, Tony, what's the disadvantages about Dwarven Forge? Two things. Cost, storage. Right there. Those two things are the bane of Dwarven Forge. As beautiful as it is, yeah, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. And that's why I suggest people don't have to buy a ton when they're first starting out. Because Dave is probably like me. I'm a little bit younger, obviously, but Dave and both of us sound like old schoolers. I started out with 1E, then moved on to 2E. So I've watched the evolution of how much money you can spend. In the beginning with Dungeons and Dragons, it was like, well, you know, I gotta think, do I have $10 for a pizza tonight? Now it's like, do I have 10,000? It's totally gone. It's gotten really big with the terrain market. But yeah, it enhances your game if that's what you like. I'm trying to think what the best things that I would buy. I would buy the starter dungeon. If you were just starting out, Dave, this is the first things I would buy. Just so because that starter dungeon can be used for many things. It's $99. And that doesn't have to just be a dungeon. It could be a jail. It's very versatile pieces right there, because they could represent the interior of a castle, the interior of a ruins, whatever. And it's enough to make a few rooms that you could use. It could be the basement of a cellar, whatever. It could be anything that you kind of need those pieces to be, because I would definitely start with versatile pieces. You don't want to go off and buy like really, really specific stuff. That's why the forest pieces aren't bad, because I mean you can use a forest for so many things. I mean it's the woods. I mean you could haunted woods or bandits in the woods or God knows whatever. You know, they're having a caravan. So I would probably buy a few pieces of the forest. They have like the large forest pieces. Then you have to buy the actual treetops. Yeah, they charge you for the treetops. They get you, man. They get you. But you love them because they're so good. But yeah, you'll have to. That's Luke. Daddy's working. Luke.
Luckily, I'm not the only one.
Luke, you can't come in here right now, buddy.
Not that 3 months is enough to understand a comment like that, but yeah.
I'm trying to think what else would help you out. I would advise getting, if you have the ability to do so, Dave, if you're wanting to do 3D terrain, I would get a metal table. The table I'm using right now, you don't have to spend this much, okay? But you'll end up like spending a lot of money on like metal trays, because a lot of this Dwarven, if you buy Dwarven Forge, if you're in the United States. If you're not in the United States and you're like Rick and you're out of the United States, well then probably not going to go with DF because it's, you know, the shipping fees. But if you are in the United States, you're going to end up spending a lot of money on like metal boards. I don't know if you can see them in the picture. Let me see if you see them on the camera. Yeah, you do. You see this little white area right here?
And actually, I'm not seeing anything through your camera.
No, are you watching our Twitch channel?
Hang on, back to Twitch channel.
Yeah, it's in the general chat. Just click on that and it should go straight to our table and show you where I'm sitting in front of the table that I built.
And I just posted a screenshot of your setup there. I'll put here in the Discord general chat.
Yeah, if you want to do that, Rich, whatever makes it easiest for Dave.
Yeah, I already made one and posted it with tagging his name in it, so.
Oh my God, Rich, you're all right. We need to give you a job. You should come join us too. I've got a guy that does IT. I've got artists. I've got a lawyer. We've got now we just need a marketing person. Desperately need marketing. But yeah, if you take a look at our table, you'll see there's like a white spot. Let me see if I can put the laser pointer on there. That white spot is actually a metal board. And before I got the metal table, Dave, I used to buy those metal boards because, you know, Dwarven Forge has magnets. And if you want a nice tight build that's flush, so you don't have like gaps and it moving all over the place, because people are going to hit the table, they're going to knock their legs into it, they're going to, you know, they're players. It's natural, it's going to happen. So you want the magnet stuff is great because you don't have to worry about that stuff. Now I do have some older Dwarven Forge stuff that uses the bow tie locks, and those aren't bad. I actually do enjoy the feel of the older material when it was not the PVC type material that they use now. It was resin. And it really felt like real stone. But the disadvantage of resin is, first of all, it doesn't stay together as well because it shifts. And second, it breaks. I mean, you drop it on a hard surface, I mean, that's it. Whereas the new material they use right here, if you're looking, I mean, I could throw this stuff and, you know, it's not going to break. So yeah, I would get some form of a metal table if you can. So this way you're not spending your money on battle boards other than just the stuff you want. And those battle boards are or terrain boards, I should say terrain boards, because battle boards is not what Dwarven Forge does. They actually make it look like water or stone and everything else. So you'll end up spending some money on their stuff because you want to have that water boards anyway, but you don't want to end up doing the mistake I did and ordering like 30, because I started just buying like one or two. Then I had to buy more and more and more. It got to the point where I was carrying like 12 or 15 of these heavy ass metal boards around, you know, before I went to try to DM something. It was absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, we made so many mistakes when we first started this. We started going around the hobby shops. That was a mistake because we spent too much money on gas and we couldn't do a quality build to give people the experience we really wanted to give them, like you see right here.
What I had been looking at is Fat Dragon and 3D printing.
Oh, yeah.
3D printer is not quite working just yet. I need to do some more work on that.
I have a guy who's a really good Nick Martinez. He is the owner of Mythicos Studios. He also did work with the Super Bowl halftime show. He's a very, very smart, very wealthy young man at 27. He's the smartest 27-year-old man I've ever met. Smarter than me at 27, that's for damn sure. And one of the things that he suggested to me a while back was, I'm sorry, hold on a second. I just lost my train of thought right there because you're.
Sure.
I'm getting old. I'm having my senior moments have already begun. You were saying you were just. Hold on, I had a thought and damn it.
3D printing.
3D, yes, thank you. Yes, Nick Martin, he does 3D printing. He bought some $10,000 3D printers. Thank you so much, Rick, for correcting me. But he bought some 3D printers, and 3D printers have their advantages and their disadvantages too, because I've had some experiences with those with Nick. The advantage, obviously, you can make as much as you want whenever you want. The disadvantage, cost, man. Some of them can. Now, I've heard that 3D printer quality is getting better and coming down in price. So that's great news. So you can find that, but yeah, you're going to have to do your homework. Make sure you get one that can really do good, detailed stuff, because you don't want to spend all that money and buy all this stuff, and then this stuff kind of be crappily detailed. And then you also have to paint it. So be prepared that that if you buy pre-made stuff, the advantages of the pre-made stuff is you buy it, it arrives at your house, bam. But if you don't, and if you're a painter, then it's not so bad to have the 3D printed stuff because you can paint it yourself. But it's going to be more time consuming, more sweat labor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Since I'm retired, I have more time to do that, and I've been painting minis for a long time.
Are you a professional mini painter?
Nope, amateur.
Okay.
I don't have the skill to go pro.
There's nothing.
You have the patience, the three legs ahead of me, so.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could paint.
Yeah, I do well enough for my purposes. I do well enough.
Well, in that case, David, if I may be so, if you have some terrain, you have 3D printing at home, and you're trying to get it up, how would you like to give your players the view of your maps? Is it like Nerdbauchery is now showing us with one webcam showing the DM and the entire map of your forest ruin scheme, or?
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting my feet wet here, so I'm not really sure what's best.
I would then, if you're just beginning, when I first started, I would just do the most basic, man. Download OBS, or if Rich has even a better idea than me, since he's even more technically, he's like my IT guy. I can tell already. But I would just download maybe OBS and just have that, and then just put it out to people. That's what JC does. And again, we can get you even more detail on that, to exactly how to do that. Because all that, like I said, the basics is just you add a camera, and then you just broadcast. You just hit start streaming, and the thing is going off and running. And then you just have to create a quick channel on Twitch or something, or private whatever, or private channel whatever, and then they can just come watch you moving around. But you're going to have to move all those characters. That's one thing we learned too, is that when you're virtual gaming, man, you start using the 3D terrain, you're going to be jumping up and down, up and down. Probably won't be so bad for you, Dave, because you're private. It's just you and your friends. But for us on the show, yeah, it gets hectic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can understand. I can use more exercise.
Yeah, me too. You can see.
The way I started with just DMing for my friends during the pandemic, I got a rack for above my table. Usually you hang plants from there, and I just taped my webcam to it, and just one webcam that was just hovering above the map I was making for the top view of my map. And with OBS, and that's a great starting point, you can add your own webcam from your laptop, for example, and that separate webcam into one screen, and you can send that out for example, Discord. That's the easiest way to get started for you and your players, in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
You need
What
one
I-
separate webcam and one webcam for your face, for your expressions, for everything else.
There is a program called Vorpal Board, Dave. Now, this is since you're a private game and you just want to be able to have some form of a visual. I can, you're probably not trying to go as deep as I'm going with as you can see, like there's a mini tripod camera on the table as well. Like, so I can get like really first person down to like the miniature views. You're probably not trying to go that hardcore, 4 or 5 multiple angles. So Vorpal board is an option, and that would eliminate you even having to learn OBS. And what Vorpal board does is they are I haven't used them, but I know Dwarven Forge uses them for some of their games. You're not going to get the multiple camera angles like I can do here, and again, like be going really down low and transitioning shots and just all sorts of stuff. You're not going to be able to do that. But what you will do is you'll just use your phone, the camera on your phone. You hook it up to a special like arm that they send you, and then you're off and running. And you pay them a subscription fee per month to use all their kind of their program, and they make it very, very simple. OBS is something you will have to learn. You're going to have to put some studying into it. Unless Rich, I'm not a super genius. Maybe someone else can figure out OBS in 10 minutes. But my experience is that you're going to have to learn, and you're going to keep learning because OBS is constantly doing new stuff. You might want to learn layouts or something. But if I were you, you might want to look into Vorpal board, because it's very, very simple to use, and it won't require you having to learn much. And it's great for players because all your players will be able to use it, and whenever they roll the dice, they have virtual dice that will roll across the screen, so they make it very fun and enjoyable for their players.
It's great advice, thank you. I've just been doing it, it looks awesome.
What, Vorpal board?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use Vorpal board because, like I said, we have a production where we're trying to do, and my producer, he wants to get like really actiony shots and like be able to transition when people are having conversations from one side, constant cuts and stuff. And you can't do that because it's only one camera on Vorpal board. But if I was just playing with just a bunch of friends and I didn't feel like putting in 40 hours worth of work a week to do a production like this, oh yeah, I'd be all about Vorpal board. I'd jump right on board, man. Put my camera up on there, turn it on, and tell my friends, okay, guys, and let's roll. And just talk through Discord, and there we go. We're good to go. So that might be something you want to consider there, Dave.
Yeah. Faster to get started, anyway. Could
Yeah.
always transition later if I wanted.
Yeah, if you want to go for a much deeper production, like let me see if I can show you our battle cam. If I can switch to that. Just to show you the kind of views you can get with multiple... Are you watching our stream right now on Twitch?
Yeah.
And I had to walk away, so if I sound distant, like I said, like here's one thing you can do. You can transition, like you can do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually just a picture, but we put up as a splash screen. But if we had a camera, you could just transition to that camera. You can transition back. Another cool thing is you can do. Let me show you this. Now that's our battle cam shot. Now we can get even lower than that. So you could actually like be literally at the view pretty much of the players. With Vorpal board it's going to be a little bit hard because again you're having to readjust and move the cameras because you only have the camera that's on your phone. But I don't think I think that would be great for you, Dave. I think it would save you a lot of money and a lot of frustration. Because OBS is great, but I wouldn't use it unless I absolutely needed to. I'd much rather have something simpler. But again, you're going to end up paying for that simplicity and that ease of use, though. I think it's like not much though, like $9 per month. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hope this information is helping you out.
Oh, yep. Taking notes.
Awesome. Okay. the cameras, going back to Rich, the cameras that we use, and I would suggest these cameras if you're going to use. Obviously, Rich. Now I know a little bit about this. At one time, we were looking at the the DSR cameras, because we wanted to start doing like night games, and you can't do a night game with the webcam because it'll look like crap. You can't turn off the lights. Whereas with the other cam, we wanted to do that, but obviously that's cost. But I would say a very high quality cam. Webcam that's good for live streaming like we're doing, the ones you see here, is just those Logitech Brios, man. They also can output in 4K if you wanted to do that. So you have all types of options. We usually go just in 720p, just for issues. But if you want to, you could go all the way up to 4K live streaming, which is pretty awesome. Now, these cameras are going to cost you a little bit more. I think each one before COVID hit was like $150. Now they're like $200.
Okay, and what type did you specify? Sorry, the Logitech, which one?
The Brio, BRIO. They're 4K webcams. And they can come with and what's nice is they can be plugged into an external power source. So when you're running across a room and obviously you're not near your computer because you're not far enough, and you've had to run a long cable, because the longer you run that cable, you lose signal with the webcam, so it degrades the signal. What's nice is with these, you actually have a little spot where you can plug it into an external power source near the camera. So if you're all the way across the room and you're like, crap, my computer is going to start messing up because I'm so far away, you plug it in like we have here, and that gives a little bit of juice, so you don't have to worry about frame issues and all sorts of other crap. But the Logitech Brios are very good. That's also what Nick uses at Mythico Studios. Like I said, and so they're pretty good for what we do. They just cost a little bit, and eventually we'd like to get those other cameras so we could do some games, because my table here has LED lights. I have torches in all the houses, torches in the dungeons. There's all types of lights and everything on this table. It would be wonderful to be able to run a game completely at night, where we just put it down like that. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm trying to think. Oh God, what were these freaking lights? I'm trying to remember. I wish I could tell you these lights. They're like, what? Oh, hold on. I can find out real quick, because a friend of mine, it was actually the people at Dwarven Forge, told me about these lights. So I am going to quickly get these lights for you, so because these are great lights. And lighting, you got to have. Now Dave, not so much for Dave, because Dave is just doing personal home games for his friends, but if you're looking to live stream professionally, man, you cannot discount lighting. Do not.
My other hobby is making music, and I've used some of my stage lights just to give the atmosphere over there. So I'm very happy with these with that other hobby that went out of hand.
As long as you have good lighting, you're fine. You just don't want to have it where it's like nobody can see you.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking for these. Give me 1 sec. I'm just trying to find these lights. I can't remember for the life of me. They're like these special lights. Well, at first we had like the round stage lights that everybody buys. That's what we had. And they were just so hot though.
Yeah.
And they were using up like freaking unbelievable amounts of light bulbs.
I use lighting for the same reason, because that helps a lot with my energy bills.
Yeah, the light bulbs were just killing. And the light bulbs are expensive. They're not cheap. So it's like, Oh, let me see.
You can use candlelight, but then you need a better webcam. So.
Yeah, I have a friend who used to do that.
I'll go to my mail here and see if I can find it. I got them from B&H Photo. I do remember that, I think. Quasar lights. The Quasar.
Quasar.
Let's see. 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 But that's... Yep, here they are. Quasar lighting system. Now, with these lights are freaking awesome. Let me tell you, you can turn these things up. You can adjust for yellow light, white light. You can get colored light. Anything you want to do for mood lighting. They last forever. I bought these things. I still haven't had to replace a light bulb. They've been running for a long, long time now. They're just really, really high quality lighting. Let me see if I can change. I'd say though, once you get these lights, you're gonna have to be warned. Be warned. They also have special holders, like, you know, in each one of, like, the lights themselves will cost anywhere from 150 to like 350 for the actual light, and then you've got the holders, the mount heads, because you got to have special mount heads. Because what's great about, another great thing about these lights, and Rick, you'll love this, those stage lights, when you have the big round ones, they take up so much freaking space, man. Not only do they suck up heat, electricity, they take up so much space. It's just like, it's hard. With these lights, because they don't put out any heat, and they're really thin. If you look online, Quasar Lighting, you'll see they're very thin tube lights. So again, you could touch them with your hand. They're not putting out any heat. And since they're so thin and everything else, you can pretty much fit them anywhere. But again, it's costly. It's like anything else, man. You're going to pay for quality. So then the mounting heads, I think, are like $150. And then you got to get the stands to hold them. So you're going to be looking at dropping about $1,500 for lighting. When it's all said and done, it's going to be anywhere from $1,000 to maybe a little less. But it's going to be up there, man. You're not getting away for it. Definitely not getting for less than, I'd say, 6 or 7. Because with the stands and everything else and the heads, you know, it gets up there. Trying to think. Then for our video rail system, like, we have shots, like, if you watch the last Instagram video that I did, which you can tell I did it because it's not too good. I was told that I dated myself with my Instagram video by my stepson. He's like, yeah, people can tell that you're 40 some years old. He's like, that does not look like. So I was like, why? It's showing the table. He's like, yeah, that's not how you do TikTok or Instagram videos. I was like, well, I don't know about that. So I'm only doing it because I want people to come watch. This is my business. But no, the video I did, still though, I did get complimented on one thing, was that we have a rail system by GVM, which is called Great Video Maker. That's the title of what that stands for. And you can buy this from B&H Photo as well. And it's a 4-foot rail system, camera rail system on carbon rods. And what's really cool is you can put your Logitech camera on these rails. And you don't have to have this, okay? I mean, for God's sakes, Dave, this is like professional stuff at this point. But if you really want to have great panning shots or following shots, you can put that on there, and you have a little remote. It's motorized, and you just hit it, and you can adjust the speed, and the camera will go back and forth on the rail. So rather than having the clunkily, obviously you're going to pick up the camera sometimes, and what I do with the tripod battle cam. But rather than having to constantly move the camera or have one on wheels, you just have it on the track. You hit a button, and it goes in the direction that you want. I could probably kind of show you an example if you're looking at the stream, how smooth it can go. Let me get up, and I'll adjust this one cam. My producer's going to yell at me, though, because I've been told not to mess with the cams. But whatever. You'll just have to deal with it. This you should see, like, that grating you hear is when it gets to the end. See, that's why I'm not supposed to touch the cameras. See?
Right.
That's a great aerial shot, though.
Yeah, it gives you that nice smooth shot, and you can adjust it to. It doesn't have to pan. It doesn't have to pan out or pan in. You can adjust it where it's just a straight, side to side. I just like to sometimes pan it, because it just looks good, whatever. But yeah, those are really good and give you a very, very good professional looking shot when you are really it gives you that you get to that next level with that kind of shot and that kind of panning video shot. Don't put your hand in front of the camera like I just noticed I just did though. Yeah, piece of advice. Can you guys tell that I'm just the creative side, huh? Really? I'm the star of this show. I don't produce it. So but yeah, those cameras are really useful. I would, if for you, Rich, if you're looking to really elevate your game to the next level or your production or whatever you're doing, that can really give you a really cool shot. Plus, it's cool for what we're going to be using is someone's doing a commercial for us right now, and we're also going to be featured in a documentary, and that's what we used it for, is to send the documentary footage about us, and also for the commercial. So yeah, if you're looking to do like a trailer or something, you can just do like a long panning shot of your table and, do whatever voiceover or music you want. And it just gives you that really professional look rather than just taking your cam and shakily moving it all on the table. Like, oh, here, it gives you that really good look, for if you're looking for that.
I have a professional camera to use for that. Only I can use it as a webcam because it can stream a view. So sadly.
You can use it for any camera. It doesn't have to be just for a webcam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can use that. One thing you are going to need to buy is, again, make sure you have a good stand with a screw top. Okay, that is one thing I'll tell you, because and you're also going to want to buy it's called a Nowir kind of camera mount, because it makes it where you can it's better. The camera mount they send with it is like stationary. You can't really adjust it that much. And there's this little red knob in front that if you're putting the camera all the way down, like trying to get a really, really deep shot into the dungeon or something, it might catch that knob. But if you buy the Nowir camera head, which is more money, you see this bit, you quickly. One thing I learned is when I started this, I had no knowledge of how much camera equipment costs. Yeah, I found that real quick. That video equipment is crazy expensive. Oh my God, it's like a kick in the ass every time. But yeah, the Nowir camera head makes it where you can kind of come out and not have to worry about getting that little mess up in the beginning. So these things are great, but make sure you buy that special head so you don't have to worry about that issue. Mm-hmm. Trying to think what else. When it comes to writing adventures, this is where I have converted 2nd edition adventures over to 5th edition. The one we're actually running right now is the Doom of Dagger Dale, which I have also implemented home rules into them. How I write, I don't know if this is something that would interest y'all, but this was part of the Q&A, the creative side. One thing I use for my adventures to make it better for my players, to make them feel more immersed, is a lot of times, one of the things I'd heard is that people want, with their backstories, I was hearing from my players, is they want to feel more connected to the world, more immersed, and really, really feel like their decisions and everything they do is shaping the world around them. And of course, as a dungeon master, that just means, we all know this, if y'all both DM, that just means more work, so, and that's okay. I mean, we love what we do, but it can be time consuming. So what I figured out to do, one of the cheats that I did, is I bought all the editions of the Book of Layers. I don't know if y'all know what that is.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the Book of Layers is great, especially the older editions. The 5th editions, one by the Cobble Press, aren't bad, but they don't have as many adventures in there. I like the old ones because they had you buy one of the Book of Layers, you're getting 70, basically 1 or 2 session adventures. So what I do is I bought all those books so I don't have to constantly come up with 10 million things. Is I look at the backstories of my characters, and then I look at some of the quests that are in those books, and I say, okay, what can I use? And then I tweak those 1 or 2 session quests in the Book of Layers, because they're designed to be one shots, but they take 1 to 2 sessions usually. I'd say probably closer to 2 sessions for all of them that I've done. And I then just tweak that to have I take elements from their backstory and then just change the hook and a few other things, change the ending, like when they come back and they've successfully completed the quest. And then the whole middle section, all the actual stuff that takes time, the mechanics, picking out the monsters, the dungeons, where they're going, the environment, all that is done for me. All I have to do is the hook and the end. and that's it. And it makes my ability to create personalized backstory ongoing quests so much easier that the players really enjoy, because they're really full-fledged quests that aren't the same old, like, and we all do this, at least I do. It's easy to fall upon, like, I need a quest, caravan, bandits, the same old thing. The creative well only goes so deep at a certain point. So what's great about the Book of Layers is your well pretty much is never going to run dry for unique adventures, not just the standard stuff. You're going to fight all sorts of monsters for all sorts of reasons, and that includes puzzles, things. So I highly, highly suggest to any DM who is looking to make their adventures more immersive, or just if you're a lazy DM and you don't want to, like, if you're like, dude, I don't feel like writing anything, I'll just get this book and every week I'll just pick out a new one to do. You could do that too. That option is available to you. But if you're wanting to really just take it to the next level for immersion and make your players really feel like you are sitting at home just designing adventures solely for them around their backstories, where they come in like, oh my god, this whole quest that we did for these past 2 sessions was all so I could have backstory immersion and develop my character. And that's not the end. I tell them there'll be more quests. The decisions they make roll into the next one. So I highly suggest that book for any DM out there. Another thing I would suggest is a guy who plays in our game. He's actually the owner of this company. Is Stat Trackers, and he plays Alistair Bramblebeard. His name is James Keeler. Hope I'm pronouncing this. James, if you're watching, I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. If you ever watch this, I'm sorry. But he is the owner of Stat Trackers. What Stat Trackers is, it's actually this stuff right here. It's pretty cool. It just makes it where, for a DM, it just makes things faster. You don't have to look up stuff. That's not a necessity, but for someone like me who is running a game like this, anything that can make it run smoother is a godsend. Because anytime I have to stop, people are watching, and they might tune out if I'm having to spend going, oh, let me look up the monster. It's just makes it quicker. Dave, that won't be as much an issue for you, but Rich, if you're professional DMing or trying to live stream DM games, I would suggest getting any tool that makes it a more streamlined production, because I found out very, very quickly that running a live stream D&D game, although it's similar to a table game, it does have its differences, because you obviously have to take the audience into account. And they might not want to watch you have your characters move across the table in full movement points through the woods that take an hour. So while rolling for randoms. So yeah, I learned that real quick.
I do have a question for you in that
Sure.
aspect of my game. This pure live stream is with a relatively new group of players. I've been playing for 1.5 years now with only me as a DM. And just recently, they've really started to pick up the sense that they are the adventurers that I follow. It's their adventure. I'm just there to create the world around them. And recently, they've really started up to pick up the pace if it comes to role-playing, also getting to know each other in-game. So there are a group of friends outside of the game, but not yet in-game fully. But as things happen and they make enemies, I find it pretty hard that the players really understand why things are happening to them and how to get them to question things that are happening. At this moment in time, I really got a few feedback moments in my repeated session zeros that they're not knowing what's going on, or why the people keep coming at us. Do you have any in-game motivations how I can get them to ease up in that part?
Yes, I do. I encountered this exact same issue where my players told me I almost forgotten. This is very early. That they were like, I kind of don't feel as if, like I kind of forgot what the quest is about, and I don't feel like that I'm hearing enough about it. Basically, after a session or two, they might forget. Players kind of, they might forget what happened 3 or 4 sessions ago. As DMs, we think that they remember everything because we do.
We write it. We look at it all the time. So we're thinking everything. They remember that guy that they spoke to 5 sessions ago that told them the riddle or told them that whatever, that information. We might think that, but they might forget, and they might forget the details. What I discovered to keep players engaged and to make them feel that the world is happening around them and that either by their actions or their inactions that things are still happening without having to constantly be like, a guy comes up to you and says this, or waiting for them to answer or ask questions. What I do is I do a town crier. Whenever the group starts and they go to town, now obviously if they're not in town, I don't have to worry about this because that means they're in the middle of adventure, so there's going to be RPing, and they're not going to feel like they don't know because they're on the quest right now, so there's not going to be any external information coming in about the main quest issue. Because the thing I got from my players was like, we didn't feel like the main quest, like we should go on it enough, or I've kind of forgotten what's going on. I don't hear about what's going on in the town. With the town crier, I'm able to make reports. Like, part of what's going on in my adventure, there's a sickness. So I'll give reports of how a family's died. If they didn't do anything or they're still not doing the main quest, people are dying. There's sadness in the town. It's a deep narrative environment. Whenever they walk into town, like, let me give you an example. They had an adventure. also use that town crier as things. Excuse me. Use that town crier as ways to quickly give things that happen by their decisions without you having to go into incredibly long-winded narratives or introduce NPCs. They went into a warehouse, right? And they robbed a warehouse. This was the good team because they were trying to get information against the constable of the town, and then also information about the sickness, whatever. They had to get information out of this warehouse, and they robbed it. And during the course of the robbery, they used some ability to make themselves look different, disguise themselves, so the guards in there and the lieutenants or whatever sergeant didn't know who it was. Well, they got out. They think that's the end of it, right? Now, you could do a long-winded thing where they meet, there's all this, and where they meet another NPC and the family comes up to them. But it's just more drawn-out stuff when you want to be kind of guiding them in a way, but not too much. So what I did to make them really feel like their choices matter, because that's another thing. If you make them feel like their choices matter and things that they're doing in previous sessions take effect in another session, that is a powerful hook. Because they feel like they're shaping their own world. And then, again, with the personal side quest, I would highly suggest that. But going back to the town crier thing, what I did when they did that robbery, when they came back to town thinking everything's hunky-dory, the town crier was announcing how the sergeant that they had fooled had been hung for the robbery. That the constable had confessed, and they realized, oh my God, this robbery, because we fooled that guy. The constable was pissed, didn't want to make it look like he was made a fool of, just made this guy took the blame and killed him. And now that guy has kids there crying and, everything else over their hung father. And, obviously it took a serious impact because the players were instantly like, wow, it's not always black and white. That, we're going to make a decision. Even good choices and doing the right thing might still have negative consequences. And fooling someone, if you think you're just going to make a fool out of someone and nothing's going to happen because of it, you're wrong. And they got all that information, all that feeling of, hey, our choices make consequences. Hey, this guy is a total asshole. He's the type of person that would kill someone just so he could make himself not look like he was a dummy and getting robbed. All that was done within the space of a few sentences, just of the town crier. And it created all the feeling that they wanted of immersion, of shaping their world, all that just by that quick town crier. And you could also, another thing with the town crier, is you can announce things that are happening outside the world. Like one of the things I do is I have a book called, it's the Forgotten Realm box set from the 2E set. I also have the 1E version, but I like the 2E. 2E had all the best supplements. It had all the supplements. But the Forgotten Realms, a box set, comes with like this book that basically tells you all the things that are happening month by month all over the world of Faerun, like major news. So what I do is I go to the month that we're playing in, and I just plug that in. So the town crier will give news of the outside world first. Like maybe in Waterdeep there was a flood, and blah 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 blah, and so many people died, and the city is trying to rebuild the dam. You see, right? So that makes them feel like, wow, there's an ongoing world being shaped outside of what we're doing. Then I have local news, which is like blah 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 blah. The warehouse was robbed and so was hung, like I said. And then I put in quick quest information, like the sheriff is looking for people to blah 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 blah. Find people. If you're interested, go talk to the sheriff. So what happens is they now feel like. And of course, then you announce the main quest stuff, like your players weren't feeling like they had a reason to go on the main quest. You create urgency by their inaction. When they don't do anything and they're off adventuring, they come back to that town, people have died. Kids have lost their parents. Parents have lost their children. There's anger. There's sadness. You know, all that will give them that reason without you having to go and build some mega awesome narrative dialogue epic quests where they need to be convinced to go. You just do the town crier, you tell them that people are dying, you have people gathered around that are crying sad, you show them, and that's if it's a bad thing. But the main thing I'm trying to say is you don't have to do a lot to get a lot when it comes to making your players feel like the world that they're in matters. Other than, okay, like I said, those side quests are a lot. But making them feel a sense of urgency and a reason to do the quest, you could get that with the town crier. And also, it's great world building because, like I said, you give that extra information that's coming from outside the world. And all that can be done within the first 5 minutes of your session. So within the first 5 minutes, you've given them world building, you've like world news, you've given them local news, you've given them news about what's going on with their ongoing main quest, whether they're doing it or not. If they didn't do anything, you have a negative side effect if you want. If they did do it, maybe something good happened. And then you have regular side quest information and possibly even personal side quest information. Like I had from one of my people, the town crier announced that the new alchemist Turon had just come to town, right? And then after that, I had his friend bump into him and he started talking about Turan. So now they remember, oh, okay, the blah, 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 the town crier was talking about Turan, and it feeds into that world building now personal side quest that I gave to one of my players. And then they went on it and it just all seems to feed in rather than just, here you go, or why should we matter? Because you're good, it should. You know, because you don't want to get into that argument with your players, you know, of saying, well, why should we go on this quest? Because it's a quest and I'm giving it to you. If they really, you know, if they're asking for a little bit more engagement, give it to them. But you don't have to go super hardcore. I would highly suggest that town crier. Sorry if that was long-winded.
Well, it does help me, but I must say that at the current state of the events, they're going to the Feywilds for some magical item to save the world, as heroes do. But the big bad evil guy is chasing them, and they're now they've been distorted from their space travel. But they're mostly focused on why am I here, but not asking the questions out loud. So more that kind of immersion from the player perspective. How can I get more into that part?
Yeah, that goes back to world building. One of my and look, it hurts, man. It does. It hurt me when my players said it, but you know, sometimes it made me better because you know I didn't want to have to do all that extra work. Nobody does. You know, you love playing, you love DMing, but you know sometimes you don't want to spend 40, 50 hours a week having to write and everything. So, but yeah, what they're basically talking about is world building. Building a narrative that makes it seem like what they're doing matters. They're basically feeling like their decisions don't matter. This is what I'm getting from you. Obviously, I'm not in the game, so I don't know. But what I'm getting from you is they're feeling like their decisions don't matter, so why am I here? I don't matter. My decisions don't matter, so why do I matter? Why would I be doing this? And that comes down to that personalizing maybe the quest for the people and personalizing the world a little bit more by giving that news of the world, news of what's going on outside of just them questing. Like if there's a great evil in the land, how is that great evil affecting the town next to you? How is that great evil affecting, you know, other areas of how is it spreading? What is it doing? Because they're not doing anything about it or not even trying. What's happening? Same goes with like the you could talk about. I had a guy in my group. He said one of the things that you should think about is there's other adventurers. Maybe you could say something like another group of adventurers, because they didn't go on the quest. Another group of adventurers was hired to go do it, and they haven't returned, showing them that the world is continuing, and it's a living, breathing place, even when they're not doing kind of what they're supposed to do. The other people might try to do it. And that creates a sense of urgency, like, wow, other adventurers are going. Or that evil, because we didn't go and do this, and we went and played around at the tavern or did some dumb crap. Because of that, now some farmer and his wife have now died. Those are the things that will create a narrative urgency of, why am I here? Now, why am I here? Because I made the mistake of not helping, and a little kid died because of my decision. That's why I'm here, and I'm not going to let that happen again. I think that's what they're probably wanting, is that world building. To give me an emotional need. And all that can kind of be done with a quick town crier. The town next door was attacked due to the lack of heroes able to take up the quest. The town next to us was completely wiped out by the blight. We are now hiring anyone who wants to be buriers. If you are interested in burying the dead, we are paying twice the normal rate because there's so many bodies. Bam. Now they're like, damn, we didn't do anything, and the whole town was wiped out because of us. Maybe have a refugee come to town and looking pitiful and emaciated and begging, pleading, why didn't anybody help us? That kind of stuff.
I must admit, I already have that one covered. So I'm very happy to also hear that you used it as well. So thank you for that. But in my case, they're on the quest. They're going towards the evil guy. They're doing fine. But when an unexpected thing occurs, like the big bad evil guy trying to intervene on their path, then they stop investigating further. Why is this happening? It's like, no, you're just making it hard for us.
Well,
You just pissed off the evil guy. You're really pissed off the guy that you're trying to stop. He's worried that you're going to stop him. Nobody wants that.
What are some of their backstories? That's what I would start digging in. Go into some of their backstories, look at that, and then even though they're on the quest, it's your world. You can do anything you want. Have something happen in the middle of the quest. Maybe if they have a personal backstory of a friend, that maybe this person goes and kidnaps someone or that they love, or so. I mean, yeah, that's cliche, obviously. But the bottom line is you could create that urgency by doing a very small thing. He's evil. They're now working against him. Maybe he knows that and he's afraid and sitting here saying, okay, I'm going to attack their weakest spot, which is something that they care about. Maybe he goes after their family, and then you could leave information like that during the quest that says one of your family members has been kidnapped or killed, even worse. Now they want revenge for the murder of someone they love. There's I see what you're saying, because they're in the middle, and it's almost like they feel like they're plodding on. And it's like, why are we still going? Why are we still going? Give them that reason. Give them that. What would make you, when you were in the depths of despair, thinking there was no hope or there was no reason to continue, put yourself in that character's place. What would make you continue to hate someone? Hate to drive you on. Or love, because you want to avenge the thing you loved. Give them that thing. That's what they're really asking for. Deep down,
great idea. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Next Tuesday we're playing on, and they're gonna have a nice surprise. I'm gonna make sure of that.
Yeah. Dig into and what's really great is it's a double payoff for you, because by going into their backstories, your players now are like, wow, this DM really cares about us. He really is trying to craft an experience that's truly unique for me. And they will appreciate that, even if you're not absolutely perfect, because Lord knows I'm not perfect. Okay? And I don't remember every Dungeons and Dragons rule. Anybody who says they know every rule, God bless them, because I sure don't. But they will be ever so grateful for such a powerful emotional narrative. Deep down, I know this sounds weird, but as a DM, I've almost begun to realize that everybody who plays Dungeons and Dragons is that little kid sitting wanting to be told a story. Deep down inside them, there's this 7 or 8-year-old that's like, tell me a story with all the voices, all the sound effects, and make me feel like a hero. That's what they deep down are yearning for. No one wants to come out and say it, because it's like, but that feeling again of wonder and magic and excitement when they used to be told stories when they were young and they closed their eyes as they fell asleep to that and had a dream about being that person, That is the gold standard for what they're looking for. At least in my opinion, I've discovered.
I sincerely hope so in my case. So, should be fine. Thank you very much again for your advice.
No problem. I'm trying to think. From a creative standpoint, I'm going to be offering classes. I actually just got hired to do this. Feels like fun. That will be going to much more in depth when I get time to put all the videos up there. We'll be going to much more depth about how to DM, like actual DMing like this, like creating the DM, writing the stories, everything to much more detail. But that's for if you're interested in something like that, you could just PM me, and those are just actual classes. But I'm trying to think what else would be useful from a creative standpoint that shouldn't be forgotten. Well, also,
I think that maybe something else that maybe for the course is also applicable. A lot of D&D stuff, especially 5th edition stuff, is for lower level campaigns. It stops around 10th, so you never experience the 3rd and 4th tier of play, as they put it. And my players are now getting to that 3rd tier, and I'm very they're not as much interested in a Lord of the Rings kind of story, but more in a mercenary campaign. So where is the next danger? Where can I stop it? And that's a fun thing to explore. So I have a few groups running, a few personally, a few professionally. Some players dig into it and they go full on Fellowship of the Ring on the way to Mordor, and some are very happy just to follow a children's book and the whole series of them in story in depth. So that's a fun thing to explore and work in, I must admit.
yeah. I mean, your players, you're basically saying that they're kind of pretending that they're in Lord of the Rings.
They hope maybe if they would like to, and they don't really go for the big picture after they went to the Shire. It's like, okay, what's next? You still have the ring in your pocket. Yeah, but I can go to the elves instead.
One thing that I found that player is one of the hardest things about DM is being organic and knowing really how to improv. I have found that a lot of that comes down to preparation and knowledge of the world. I don't know how much you read about the world you're in, but being able to improv quickly, if someone says something like, well, I've got the ring, I'm going to go here, or something, whatever, I've got this item, I'm going to do this. Yeah, you really got to have knowledge of the world a little bit to be able to go off on those improvs. And that's one thing that luckily I haven't had too much difficulty with, but it can get there, and staying organic can be rough. I'm trying to think,
I think your tongue crier helps a lot in that regard, so thank you for that.
What'd you say?
Really helps in that part.
Another good book that will definitely help you all out. And Dave, if you have any questions, Dave, please jump in. If there's anything you can think about that you want to know, I don't want you to think I'm not paying attention to you or anything. But
Oh, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I hope this information is helping you out too. A good book, another good book that I would buy from second edition, and this is going to be applied to, and these books can be applied to any edition. The books I'm giving you, because they're just narrative, they help you narratively. This is a must for a DM, a must. The Book of Villains. If you do not have that book, go out and buy it.
Not yet.
The Book of Villains is one of the best supplements you'll ever get, because it teaches you how to create a memorable antagonist. And one of the most powerful things about an adventure is if you don't have a good antagonist, then you don't have a good protagonist. And so many times, so many adventurers bog down into the bad guy A wants to do evil thing, sits in bottom of dungeon with on ton of money and treasure. Okay, it's okay, but you want to be able to have villains that are truly, the best type of villains are villains that you can empathize with. You can say, I would do that, I understand why they do it, but I wouldn't do that. Case in point, you would never think you could turn a good cleric, into the most vicious force across the world. But here's how you can. One of the things they teach you about in the Book of Villains is organic villain character creation, letting your party make the villain. And how you do that, for example, they talk about a party. One of the things I think they talk about in the book is they talk about a party walking along, and one of the party, just for the hell of it, to mess with the DM, says, hey, I'm going to take this rock and I'm going to throw it through the window of that house over there. And as a DM, you're like, okay, whatever, let them do it. They throw the rock because they're just trying to have fun. And you let it crash, and maybe they go running thinking they were all fun, okay? Well, what you can do in that situation, organic villain development, is the book describes a situation where that rock then, they didn't know this, but the rock hit a child that was in bed, striking the little girl and killing her, which was the daughter of the very powerful town cleric. The cleric goes mad with grief. Right? Now, the party doesn't know this. They've already gone off to another town. The party starts hearing reports of famine, of insects devouring entire towns, sicknesses wiping out, only to find out later that the cleric was the person that they killed the daughter. So in a way, they created their own villain. Even worse, can you really, the players then have to deal with the moral aspect of, we shouldn't have thrown that rock. Can I really blame this man or woman, whatever, for wanting to come after us now? We killed their child for no reason. So who really are the good guys if we go and defeat them? It really comes into those wonderful moral gray areas they teach you of. And also they teach you how to make henchmen. Oh, God. So many people make adventures, but no henchmen. How can the biggest baddie have no henchmen? Where are his underling, his suck-ups? They teach you how to create really good suck-ups, really good henchmen that the party has to deal with before they even get to the main baddie. They even teach you how to make big baddies that are weak physically and magically. Like, well, you wouldn't think, well, how can a big baddie that we're supposed to defeat not be level 20 casting or strike me down with the most powerful sword? Bureaucracy. They teach you how to create bureaucratic villains. Villains that have so much insulation by wealth and power that even if you know where they're at, you can't touch them. Even if they're right in front of you and you know what they've done. They're so well insulated, so corrupt that you can't touch them. And there begins an adventure of itself, knowing that this weak kind of weak person that you could beat in a fight easily, you can't even get to because you'd be put in jail or something would happen to you or people you love. I highly, highly suggest to anyone who's watching this or anyone who just get the Book of Villains, man. It's so will teach you such good things on how to be a DM. Do you have that book, Dave or Rich?
Nope.
Not yet, but I'm trying to find where I can buy it. It's
Yep.
old. Where we have where I can find more old resources.
I just
anything, so I'd rather see where I can buy it.
I just go to eBay or Amazon. That's where I usually find my stuff. But definitely that's a book that I cannot understate. Will make your villains so much more memorable and so much more enjoyable to play for both you and the players. From a trying to think what else is useful for me when I'm doing adventures. Obviously, looking at, I told you about the Book of Layers, Book of Villains. That's powerful. I'm trying to think, is anything that's really, it gives a powerful narrative strength and creative strength. Oh my God, I'm put on the spot and I have so many. Well, like I said, those world books. I already told you about the Forgotten Realms sets, or you can get the Dragon Lance box. Whatever world that you're in, you want to begin to know a little bit about the world. Doesn't mean you have to read like every single thing, but get to know general stuff of the area, and that will help you, like I said, improv so much better because you'll be able to throw things down there. Is there any problems that y'all have with trying to think with just your players doing crazy things just to mess with you?
No, in my table they know there are consequences, and that helps.
There you go. I was going to say, make sure there's always consequences anyway, so that helps. But yeah, when I am building, now when it comes to building this Dwarven Forge, people have asked me how I get like a lot of the builds and the shots and the inspiration, and where I get the inspiration for these builds and how to is Bob Ross. I know that sounds funny, but I love that guy. And what Bob Ross taught me about building, the way I'm able to build well, is it teaches you how to do make things look organic. A lot of people get Dwarven Forge or this stuff. Now, my table doesn't look great right now because it's kind of broken down. But if you look at pictures on my tables and you look at shots I take, I tend to make organic shots and things that look natural. And the way I learned how to do that was by Bob Ross. He teaches you how to create planes, like putting something in front of something else to push it further back to create depth in your painting. I try to create depth in my table. Where I'm sitting at, when I build this table, the place you see sitting at right now, I get down like this, and I pretend that I'm a person, and then I put things in front, and I try to make it look just like some of his examples. So this is a little thing. If you don't have a terrain or a lot of terrain, but if you do have a lot of terrain, you're wondering like, how can I make my builds look more natural? Why do they always come across looking weird and just not right? Learn that stuff from Bob Ross, man. He'll teach you how to put where the things should go to truly make things look natural. And I tell you, so many times I'm building, I'm like, okay, I'll put this here. Oh yeah, that pushes it. Oh, okay, the depth looks good there. Okay, let me put the water here. Let me put a stone here. And it's great. I don't know if you all know who Bob Ross is, but I love that guy. He's a wonderful, wonderful painter, and those lessons really do go over in the building. It's the same with cityscapes, because when I build cityscapes, I'll think, okay, I will put maybe just the chimney on the other side that pushes it back is a little bit more depth, but just makes my table look bigger, better, and more exciting for my players. And it also creates, for you, Rich, when you have an organic looking table, you're able to get organic looking shots. So when you do those beautiful, first-person battle cam shots or those overhead view shots, whatever it is, you're really going to get those amazing, amazing views. And that looks like a postcard or something like that. Let me go check something to make sure nobody else dropped in just in case. But I'll be right back. Hold on 1 second.
Thank you.
Oh, jeez. Oh, now they're all here. Okay. I have to get these. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Dave, is anything of this also applicable to you, or just like to the choir in your case? That's
What'd you say?
Season D Dungeon Master.
Wait, what did you say, buddy?
I was talking to David.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, missed that. Didn't catch that.
No problem. I just wanted to. I've been bringing in my questions over here. Is there something that you might have to add, or something that you also picked up from the Nerdbauchery story, or any advice from your experience as a dungeon master, maybe?
Mostly what I've been doing is creating my own worlds. And the more you understand about the world, the better off you are running it.
Oh, fair. For Grand Realms, you can read into all the books, but you're just creating everything from scratch in your head for that part.
Yeah, you want to know more than you're telling. You want to know stuff, even if you're not. The players are never going to know it, because that way you can figure out what would go on better.
Yeah, fair. By the way, if you still have any questions about your streaming setup, by the way, or I can maybe also help a little bit.
The streaming setup is more theoretical right now, so.
Oh, sorry, the virtual gaming setup. Sorry, I said it wrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sort of looking for ways to get started. So.
Well, maybe to just start off with that, how do you want to present it? Do you have some terrain at home that you want to showcase, or utilize, or?
Terrain's still kind of hypothetical, also.
Okay.
Plans for it.
No, I started out with paper maps that I just laid out, so I fully understand. You got to start somewhere, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that a two webcam thing would be something that is applicable to your situation?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it comes to specs, for example, I can also help with that, for at least in my experience. For the webcams that I said, for example, I got for $40 even in the pandemic, and for these kind of situations, they do perfectly fine. You don't need to have the best resolution. As long as you don't have a fisheye lens, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it usually goes iffier right along the edges, and also the colors usually rack up a little bit. Of course, I also do a lot of D&D for kids games, and when I hadn't um, couldn't get my hands on, for example, OBS or any other software to help me out, I did have two webcams. I just switched my webcam sources the entire time. When I was talking, you could see my face and what I was doing, and whenever we went to a battle map scenario and they had to practice their combat skills or fight a bear or whatever, I just switched to just the main battle cam near the map. They could see what their position would be, and added a wind road to it. I'm not sure if that's the correct English translation, but north, east, south, west. So they could just tell me I want to go west, and I could just follow the little star I painted on that they could follow, they could use. That already helped me in my first steps, just switching between the webcams, or just manually in webcam the other way around.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. We had some people who were like showed up an hour late. I sent out a bunch of emails, but I guess people might not have got them because it went to their spam folders. I was trying to let people know that, we started.
I'm very happy with your mails, by the way. Also, I would have been a little late otherwise as well.
Yeah, I sent out like 100 of them to make sure people got them because I talked to the help desk and they said there's been a lot of issues this year. So, with stuff. But I did send out a bunch of them. And next year, one lesson I've learned is I will not be using our own Discord channel because I've been to conventions, but I never did a virtual convention before. So I didn't think about that they're on Central Time. I was thinking my time. So let me go. We've discussed obviously Vorpal board for you, Dave. Obviously, I would start. First thing I would do is I would go take a look at Vorpal board. Don't even worry about OBS because that's something for people who are just trying to put on a more of a production. For you, just you and your friends, OBS and Discord, man, and you'll be or Zoom, whatever you prefer, and you'll be off right in Skype, whatever, and you'll be off and running. That's what I would do. And plus, it would be a lot easier for you to learn and use. You wouldn't have to sit there and worry about having to do a long learning phase, and constantly doing that. You'll just be able to turn it on, do the buttons, aim your phone over your stuff, and go ahead and play.
Yep.
Trying to think what else would be useful for y'all from a creative standpoint. What I do here. I told you about the table, but y'all aren't going to buy that. At least I wouldn't. Maybe Rich, you might buy that. Rick, you might buy the table. They cost about $450, but you can get a steel table by Uline. It holds about 2,000 pounds. I highly suggest that if you're really going deep into this, because now you will not have to buy any more metal boards, and you can just put your stuff right on it. I mentioned that earlier, but highly that would be one of the things.
I use the magnetic paints on my tables at this moment in time.
Oh yeah, well, as long as you something that just makes it you don't have to constantly buy the boards,
Yeah, exactly. No, I just made it. I had some magnetic paint. I just swiped it all over the table, and that's keeping pretty well.
I didn't think about that. It's a good idea. It probably would have saved me $400. But one place you can find cheap Dwarven Forge, guys, if you're ever wanting to buy more 3D stuff, I found a lot of my stuff at life estate sales. Or estate sales, I should say. Like people who passed away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got like 90-some% discount. Like pretty much all my mountain stuff and a large part of my castle stuff, other than like this tower and a few things right there. But almost all my castle and mountain stuff came from estate sales. Because I found people that passed away, and and when it's really, really wealthy people, and you have their lawyers and all that come in, this stuff looks like toys to them. They don't know any better. They just think it's toys, little figures, and they're looking at paintings and art and furniture. That's what they're trying to look at. So when someone comes in, it's like they got this big box of Dwarven Forge toys, and someone's like, "Hey, I'll take that off your hands for $150." They're like, "Yeah, sure, take it. Go ahead." I mean, I bought all this mountain stuff, which probably it would have cost, oh my God, probably about $10,000 worth of mountain stuff. I'd say a total of $750.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's not theirs. They don't care. They don't, and plus they have so much to sell at big estate sales that it becomes almost just like an annoyance, like little things like this. Like, okay, here, just fine, take it. Okay, fine. Their whole job, when you have these people who are in charge of the estate sale, there's no personal feelings for them. They're just trying to make as much money as they can to get their cut. So if they can sell it, they're going to sell it. And if it's something they could sell that the family doesn't really know the value of, like this stuff, they don't care. Because they know the family's only looking at the big things, like cars and like I said, paintings and jewelry and all this stuff like that they know the big money's at. But this stuff, nobody ever cares about. It's like train sets, you know? They're like, oh, just get it the hell out of here so we don't have to haul it in. So I would say if you're looking for Dwarven Forge pieces, that was my secret. Like people were asking me my secret at one time, and I didn't tell them until I got enough. But now that I got enough, now I'll tell the secret. It's estate sales. Go to estate sales. You can find anything at estate sales, man. That is the best place to buy stuff because dead people aren't greedy. They don't care, man. They have $5 for something that's $500. Okay.
Yeah, is there any way to pick out estate sales to go to, or do you just hunt them?
I just would go online and put in estate sales in like the greater New Jersey. I'm in a good area for estate sales. I'm in the tri-state area. You know, Philadelphia, or you got New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. There's a lot of money right here. So when people die, you can find them online, look like that. Then you got to do a little homework. I mean, you search in there, you look, you see if it's like, you see toys and collectibles, and you take a look like that. One good thing is to call around like hobby shops. Like I found a place at one time in Philadelphia. I think it was called Red Hat Hobbies. And that's another one of my secrets. I'll tell now because I bought all their stuff from. But they had the estate sales. A lot of times, will contact hobby shops when they see this stuff too, and they'll say, "Hey, look, we'll give you all this stuff, and you just sell it, and then just give us a portion of the money. You can keep a portion of the money." So a lot of times, these hobby shops will get calls from these people, and they'll call them up with train sets and tons of Dwarven Forge or terrain or miniatures. And they'll offer to sell it. Like Red Hat, what happened to them, or was it Red Corner? I think it was Red Hat, whatever it was, Red something in Philadelphia. And what happened to them is he told me, because this was the first time I had done it. I had heard about estate sales because this is when I was going around the business trying to go to hobby shops to generate business. And, you know, I found this guy and he was like, "Hey, you're in the Dwarven Forge and you want to put on a show for us? Well, I got some Dwarven Forge I'd like to sell." I'm like, okay, whatever, you know. He's like, "I have a lot of Dwarven Forge now. It's probably more than you got." And I was like, yeah, right. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking in my mind, you're like, you know, I have a lot. So I'm thinking, when people usually say that, it's like, okay, I don't think you realize how much I have, but okay. He's like, "I'm going to bring you and show it to you." So he brought me to this back room. He's like, "We've already sold some of it, about $30,000 worth of it, but we got a lot back here." And I went back there and, oh my God, that dude, he wasn't lying. It was just boxes and the stuff I bought, the mountain stuff from him, a lot of it wasn't even opened. The guy was getting so much Dwarven Forge stuff that when he died, Kickstarters were still coming in. I mean, that's how serious he was. He was just buying and buying and buying. I remember saying, I was like, "This is new in the box. The tape hasn't even been cut yet." And he's like, "Yeah, we're just selling it for so much." And then they told me what happened with the estate sale people. After they had sold like about $10,000 worth of the Dwarven Forge, right? The estate people just said, "Hey, look, we that's fine. Just give us the 10 grand and you can have the rest." And let him keep all the rest of it. So then the hobby shop, they don't care because unless they're Dwarven Forge fans, which some of them might be, but in the end, they're there to make money. And the owner, you know, if he can sell it, considering he got it for nothing, if he can sell for anything, but the secret is buying bulk at that point. If you're going to a hobby shop or something, the same with the estate sales. If you're going to buy it, offer to buy all. Like, "Here, I'll give you $300-400 right now for all this." And that just sounds good to them. Trying to buy like one item, they'll probably try to cheat you, or not cheat you, but charge you a little bit more. But if you're buying a bulk so they can just get rid of this stuff and they can show that they got a good little bit of money or a decent, they're fine. For some toys, they'll be good. So estate sales are a great place to find all sorts of deals on terrain. And it's sad to say, but stay on top of who's dying in the RPG industry because, you know, if someone dies and, you know, they're near your house, and, well, it might behoove you to take a look, you know.
Yeah. Miniatures wargaming is an aging hobby.
Yeah, wargaming is, I've heard. Dungeons and Dragons has gotten huge, but wargaming represents, I think, like only 7% of the tabletop industry now.
Oh, I believe that.
And the average Go ahead.
The people in it tend to be older.
Yeah, the average person is over 40.
Yep.
So the problem is with wargaming right now is wargaming needs to become more inclusive. It needs to attract girls, everybody. Dungeons and Dragons has done a great job of making everyone feel as if they can be a part of the Dungeons and Dragons community. Doesn't matter who you are, religion, color, sexual persuasion, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can come play D&D, hang out, make some friends. Wargaming needs to create that perception for themselves. That anybody can come play it, everybody's just going to have a great time. And once they create more inclusivity, it will become less daunting. Because wargaming, when you see all those figures, you look at D&D, it's just one miniature. You're thinking, okay, But when you see all those miniatures out, to some people, that can become almost overwhelming. Like, oh, I have control of all those? It's like, yeah, don't you want to learn? It's like, oh my God, I don't have time right now. I'll just go over here with this one mini, and that's it, and I can just play this character. But yeah, wargaming can sometimes seem daunting, and I think that if they made it seem more approachable and more inclusive, I think you would see a growth in the industry. That's my thought.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of pretty misogynic people in it, which is unfortunate.
It's a lot of what? I'm sorry, what did you say, sir?
Misogynic, unfriendly to women.
Oh yeah, well, I'm thinking. Okay, yes, I got you. Yeah, well, that was part of the problem with the geek culture. Was it's funny for a bunch of people that can't get girls, you'd think we'd want to take them as much as we could. It's like, come on in and play, for Christ's sakes. It's a unicorn, a girl who wants to play D&D. Back in the day, that's how it was, But now, yeah, it's become much better. I didn't know wargaming had that attitude towards women. I just thought it was kind of like it seems like a sheltered kind of like, we're just doing our own thing at this table, and if you go to watch, they kind of don't talk as much. They're kind of in their own game with their rulers and everything else. It's like they're just in their zone, man. But I didn't know about the women. I didn't know about women, that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of yeah. They would need to obviously change that and be cool to everybody, because everybody likes to have a good time, and especially now with the world as it is, we need this escapism, man. We need it.
Mm-hmm. There are also a few panels on Garycon this year about these subjects, so I'm very happy that it's also getting attention within these conventions.
You broke up right there. You kind of your mic went out. I heard you say something about Garycon conventions.
Oh yeah, I've been visiting a few conferences also this weekend that are also focusing on accessibility, on diversifying, getting people to get into these groups and welcoming them, just also to make it all grow. And I'm very happy that conventions like these are creating that safe space.
Yeah, it should be. No one, if people talk about, how can I say this? You have two groups of people out there. There's a group that thinks, I guess, creating a space where people don't have to feel bad and deal with certain negative thoughts makes them like not as strong. And then there's a group that's like, nah, you gotta deal with all this stuff. Look, you can deal with stuff and not have to think about it all the time. Okay? I know that, there is kids who get kidnapped in the world, but that doesn't mean I have to be on my mind every second and be depressed about it. And that's safe space. Dungeons and Dragons makes it where you can escape from those thoughts for a little while. And that's so good, because I don't want to think about the bad stuff of the world all the time. I have plenty of hours in the day to think about who's shooting who and who is trying to be corrupt or God knows, whatever pleasure those people seem to get out of life, that wouldn't pleasure me in life, but whatever. I just need to get away from those people. That's why I play D&D, and that's why I love doing what I do and started this business, because I want to bring that same peace to other people, where it doesn't matter. You come to my room, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican. There's no such thing in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. We're on the feudal system. There's a king here. So there is none of that exists in my world. And everybody, in fact, I've often said that if everybody would just play a game of Dungeons and Dragons, we wouldn't have any type of issues. Because there's no way, I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, if you played a game with one of those people and they saved you from that red dragon last week, you're going to be nice to them. Like, oh, thank you. Yeah, remember that time I saved you? Oh, thank you. Thank you, God. You're going to get along. I think Dungeons and Dragons, it sounds cliche, but it really does kind of bring people together. Because when you laugh with people and you have a shared experience, it's much harder. You know, once you know that there's good in a person and something that you like in them, it's a lot harder to be a jerk to that person. You know?
Well said.
Yeah. Well, guys, this is about the end of our thing. Dave, I'm sorry that I couldn't get more technical stuff for both of y'all. Like I said, JC is more than willing to answer your questions. He's put a thing up there in chat. So, Dave, please do not hesitate. I think you'll be fine with Vorpal board anyway. I don't think you're going to need OBS for what you're doing. But if you do need any technical questions, Dave, or anything like that, I'm always available, or at least or creative questions for me, I'm always available. And JC is more than happy to answer anything. And now, Rich, I know you're more OBS, so he would be able to help you out with your camera issues and any layouts. He's done some beautiful layouts and plugs and all the other stuff that he does for our show. And so if you want to interested to try to make it look like you see our show looking now, then JC is definitely the man to talk to, because he has made that show look really good with how the transition, nice transitions too, not just the cut transition, but you saw my transition where it kind of does like the circles, like a little movie. All that stuff he knows how to do. All that stuff, connecting cameras and making them look better, all that. So please do not hesitate to reach out to JC. And if you need any help about Dwarven Forge, building table, how pieces go together, because some people have a lot of problems, especially with the mountain pieces, because they are not square or regular shape. They are all irregular. So if you have any problems building, writing, Dungeons and Dragons, any creative side of the show that you know that you actually see, what you see is what I do. What you don't see is what he does. Yeah, that's the best way to say it. What you see in here, I do. What you don't see in here is what he does. So if you need any help with that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is my job now, and I like talking to people about Dungeons and Dragons. It relaxes me. So definitely do that. Other than that, guys, is there any other questions that you had for me?
No, I think I've got a good starting point here.
Awesome. You've got the cameras that you can get. You will not need a camera, like I said, if you use Vorpal board. You can just use your phone. But I've told you, Rich, about our Logitech Brios. I highly suggest you get those Brios, if only for the fact that if you have any questions about the Brios, you can always reach out to us. And we've done so many things. We've done so many things wrong and made so many mistakes and had so many aggravations that you won't have to go through that. We write down all the problems that we have. JC writes it down, how to fix it, so it doesn't have to happen again. So anything like that.
From my point of view, only a great word of thanks. Thank you very much.
No problem, guys. I hope you all had a great Garycon, and I'm gonna get on out of here, and I will see y'all later. I hope to see y'all on Discord, and I hope that y'all check out our show. We play both a good and an evil team through these maps. So if you really like watching Dungeons and Dragons or even anything like that, check us out. You might have a little fun. Hang out with us. All right, guys. I will catch y'all later. Have a good one at Garycon. Bye.
Bye.
What was that, Rich? You had a question? I mean, Dave?
No, just saying thanks and bye.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming. And I will see y'all later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.